Hey, how's it going, everyone? So today I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to look at three things that you can do to introduce, um, more happiness and meaning into your life. So my name's Eric Moses, and the reason that I chose this subject were these were some things that I've looked at and utilized in my own personal life that I've experienced benefits with, I guess you'd say. Um, what are the three things that we're looking at? So the three things that I'd like to introduce to you are properly setting goals, or a means to approach goals, to set goals that way. The second would be taking your cell phone and giving that thing a break from time to time. And then thirdly would be spending more time outside, spending more time in nature, and doing things like that. So with that being said, the first point that I'd like to make is about setting goals. So why set goals, and how does this lead to you having a happier, more meaningful life? Well, I think a lot of times when it comes to happiness and having meaning, that all comes back to having a purpose. If you feel like you're walking around without purpose, then how are you going to be happy with that result? So one thing that I'd like to bring up is the SMART method. So with the SMART method, if we take a look at it, so what is SMART? It's an acronym. So when you're setting a goal, you need to be specific about what it is you're trying to accomplish. You need to have a goal that you can measure. You can see your progress and see how you're coming along. It needs to be achievable. This doesn't mean easy. This just means this is something that you'll actually be able to accomplish. The goal needs to be realistic as well. So you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but you want to be able to set goals that are practical, that you can accomplish with whatever you have going on in your life. And then finally, time related. So you want to be able to set a goal that has an end in sight. And that might be a year, that might be a couple years, that might be a month goal, that could be anything. But using this method, you should be able to properly execute, or properly set up and execute your goal. So setting goals is important. So what would be the next thing? Well, let's look at putting the phone down. So trying to see how I can relate this to everybody. I mean, how many times have you walked into a restaurant and seen a table full of people, everybody staring at their phones? How many times have you been around your friends, you 5-6 people, everybody staring at their phones? So it's one of those things where I found that smartphones and having this technology steadily available it enhances your life greatly. You know, for me personally, I'm able to pay my bills, I'm able to do work, I'm able to check emails. But on the flip side of that, you also have your social medias, where I think that's where people get kind of sucked in, because these things are designed to be addictive. So if you want to look at the scale of things, 3.8 billion people on planet Earth are using smartphones. And if you look at America specifically, the average screen time, it's not the mean, this is the average screen time, is 7 hours a day for the average American. That's a lot of time to be staring at a screen or an iPhone, and it depends on what you're doing, but I feel like most of us are probably just doing the death scroll on Instagram, as people like to call it. But what does this mean? Well, if you're going to be staring at your cell phone all day, we know that they're addictive. And let's look at cell phone addiction. So cell phone addiction is one of those things where you just cannot get away from your phone. And what are some of the downsides of phone addiction? Well, you have lower concentration. You can experience aggravated ADD, anxiety, reduced cognition, stress, loneliness, impaired relationships, things along those lines. So if you look at the list and the things that can come from staring at a phone all day, you might realize that maybe this isn't good for me. Maybe this doesn't help with being happy. This doesn't introduce any sort of meaning into my life, so that's one thing to think about when it comes to, you know, smartphones. It's okay to take a break. And so moving right along, what is the last part of this? So the last part would be getting out in nature. And this could look like anything. This could be getting out for a walk, going for a hike, heading down to the lake, going for a swim, doing things along these lines. And why is this important? Well, I'm gonna bring up a slide right here. And what you can see is that there are health benefits to getting outside. You know, what are benefits to getting outside? Well, it reduces stress, anxiety, depression. It improves memory and cognition. It boosts heart health. It supports longevity. It enhances your sleep. These are all things that improve the quality of our lives. So I think getting outside, getting some sun on your skin, getting some vitamin D can be super beneficial. Putting the phone down, getting outside. I mean, staring at screens and hanging out under fluorescent lighting all day is somewhat new in the history of people. So it's always something to keep in mind. So with that being said, what are the three things that we talked about today? So we talked about setting goals and why that's important, and that can give you purpose and meaning. We've talked about cell phones and staring at a screen and how this can be detrimental to your mental health and anything else, and why it's important to put it down. And when you put that thing down, it leads me to my third point, which is getting outside. It's good to get outside. It improves your health conditions and things along those lines. So with all this being said, I hope you would consider these three things moving forward to help improve your life. Become happier, find more meaning. With that being said, that's all I've got for you guys today. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thank you.